Summit. Stand up, speak out, be seen. I'm Janine Savient and my co-host Heather Alice-Drake behind the scenes. Today we have Trish Stewart with us. Welcome, Trish. Welcome to the Summit.
Oh, thank you. I'm a little bit nervous, but so looking forward to the opportunity to share. So thank you.
You're so welcome, and we applaud the courage it's taken for you to come on here, and the world's waiting to see you. So I'll read through your bio.
Okay.
Hi, you're welcome. Hi everyone, my name is Trish Stewart. I am a clairvoyant and enjoy using all the knowledge that I have gained over the years training in the mind, body and spirit arena, combined with the messages I am gifted to help people understand who they are and their journey. Your relationships are the doorway to your success. The most important relationship you can have is the one with yourself. I have been teaching and doing one-on-one consultations for over 30 years and am still in awe of what I do. It is very exciting when a client sits with me and we find the age they were and the cause of their distress or unease. We can see the patterns they have that hold them in repeated cycle, and in this moment we are able to commence healing and a new way of being. The body, mind, spirit trinity has always made perfect sense to me. Over the years, I have trained and developed myself in physical, mental, and spiritual healing practices, both for my own well-being and to enable me to safely guide others. There is a connection with the other side that brings ease and grace and allows the answers to flow. It is the same when I paint canvases and express energies. We are all energy. Everything around us is energy. It is this energy that we read and respond to. So every person who comes to me, I see as unique. And I use my clairvoyance and practical experience to intuitively tailor each session to your personal footprint. For me, it is effortless and natural to do this. For you, it ensures you get the best I have to offer. So welcome again, Trish.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome. So, Trish, I see that you were aware from the age of 6. How did it feel and what did you experience?
Because I'd always been like it, I didn't know it was different. I thought everyone had that gift. But at the age of 6, when you're young, you're allowed imaginary friends. So I probably got away with it. But when I started school, I was quite a loner, even though I had lots of friends, but no one else could see them. And so that made me vulnerable and people thought I was a little bit weird. Made my mother very anxious, and I was extremely sensitive to other people's emotions. So when I look back, it wasn't a happy time. It was a very confusing time. And people tell you clairvoyance and all those psychic abilities are such a lovely gift to have. But if you don't have anyone who can guide you and how to use them, it's very scary, it's isolating, and it's not pleasant. Yeah.
So what did you do, Trish? Did you turn to those ones that you were connecting with in other realms and dimensions when you were small?
Yeah, they used to pop in. They popped in and out all the time. And what I've found over the years for myself personally and my children and grandchildren, you have the gift, but when you start to try and infiltrate yourself with society, because society says what is normal and what is not, you will work very hard to shut that down. Because you want to be like everybody else. You want to be accepted and acknowledged. You don't want to be made fun of or humiliated. Just thinking about my grandson, who is now coming up 22, but when he was 8 and 9 and he'd be telling friends at school things, they would make fun of him. And one day he was in the car with me and said, Nana, my friends make fun of me. And it was just so heart-wrenching to hear him telling me what had been happening. So we decided that he would have these conversations with myself and his mum, and that the children he was at school with obviously didn't understand because their parents and grandparents weren't like that. And that brought ease to him. He's very, very open. You know, he would see angels and things like that. So having him in my life at that age at his age, was very enlightening, because it took me a while before I would actually believe in angels. It shocks so many people. I don't know why. Shall I tell you what made me really believe in angels? This is an interesting story.
We would love you to share.
Okay. Back in 2005, I got this huge push to start painting canvases. So in my mind, and what we call normality of society, I thought that because I hadn't been trained to paint on canvas, that was a big no-no. And so there are lots of beliefs attached to that, but we won't go into that. So I went to the shop and I brought these 3 little canvases like this. I took them home and I painted them, and it wasn't difficult. So I thought, well, I better buy some more. So I started off with little canvases about that big, and they got bigger and bigger. I took some of these canvases to the market where I did readings, and I put them on a side table to see what people would say. And they sold. So obviously, and they were all about energy. They weren't people's faces or anything like that. And that was November. And then in December, I got the urge to put the Christmas tree away and vacuum the floor. Now, these are important things to remember. They're very, very natural things to do. You put the Christmas tree away, you vacuum the floor. While vacuuming, I heard this big, loud rustling sound, and the room filled up with light, and it was all coming from behind me. And I saw an image of a piece of art that I loved and I had sold. And telepathically, I got the message that said, would you like to earn your living by painting canvases? And I said, well, as long as someone's popping in to help me with the canvases, we'll be fine. I'll make a deal with you. Yeah. With that, I turned around and I swear to God, there was this massive, great white light looking down at me, and it was the best thing to an angel I'd seen in books and things that I could think of. So after that, I became a believer, and I got the name Michael coming through. So I decided that this has got to be a good thing. So after that, 2005. Because up until then, everyone that came to me, I either knew them, or they were scholars, they wore robes, they were tutors. So there we are.
And so today, are you painting canvases for a living?
I haven't painted for to sell for 3 years. I've had a lot of changes in my life. I've painted for my own healing ability, and I have people ask me if they can buy my canvases. If I take them to the shows, I've used them more as props. And I use them, particularly the doorway, when I run my courses. So, but I did make money. I did make a nice little living for a few years painting canvases.
Yes.
I'll go back to that.
So you were talking about earlier, Trish, about when you were small, how hard life was for you because you were obviously so different to those around you and saw life on a much broader scale than most people. What age would you say it was that you started to realise that your abilities were actually gifts and you were happy to be unique and different?
I wavered within my teens and 20s. I would share information that came through. You know, you'd be comforting a friend or things like that. It wasn't until I got to 30 and my marriage finished that I realised I needed some help and guidance. Because when a relationship finishes, and just to sidetrack, Norman and I were childhood sweethearts. we were in Primavore together, so we went through life together with our ups and downs. So to get to 30 and find that this person that you'd idolised and loved just really wasn't fitting in with the enormous pressure you had inside you as to how you should live your life. There was the whole why me, why this, what am I doing wrong, beating yourself up. We had 2 beautiful children. Why couldn't I get it right? You know, there was that whole, I think that's called normal. Yeah. It's what lots of people go through that come to see me. So that was the normal side. But I had the other side with grandparents coming through and friends that had passed over and spirit guides and guardian angels, but I didn't realise it was like that. So that was when I realised. And I got introduced to a medium, and I'd never ever met a medium before. I'd never had a reading before. And going to see him and the things he told me and then the guidance he gave me, it was like coming home. It was a grieving period because I realised what I'd blocked out, but it was a sense of coming home. And then the enormity of what you're really here to do. That was quite gobsmacking, because I was dealing with a separation, a marriage breakup, being taken to court, custody battles. There was so much, and then trying to make sense of this. Seeing the guardians that were with my children, and I was doing psychometry and not even realising that I would go into my son's bedroom and hold his pillow and find out what he'd been thinking and how he was feeling. And I thought these were all natural, that mothers did. So I was able to guide my children from that perspective as well. It was a very, very tumultuous time.
Yes.
And then I went and started joining groups. Different people came into my life and took me to a group or a course. And that's when the whole story started.
Fabulous. And so was there a defining moment in your life that made you reassess and want to study relationships in particular? Because that's your forte. Yeah.
It is. It was when my marriage finished.
Okay.
That was the whole turning point. And that is when I started to see the patterns we form, going back to how our parents' marriages and how we learn from that. So another thing I tap into is intergenerational life patterns and beliefs. And that has just been eye-opening. It can make your eyes water sometimes, but it's eye-opening. One of the little stories I share is when my mum was 15, her mother died. So the connection with her mother disappeared, and then she had a stepmother come in. I can't remember the age. When I turned 15, my mother disconnected from me. She was still there, she still loved me, but the connection we had went, and she went to focus fully on my sister, who's 5 years younger. When my daughter turned 15, her dad left when she was 8. She decided she had to live with her father. When my grandson turned 15, because his mum and dad were separated, he decided he had to live with his father. So that's your intergenerational patterns, and they may all come about in different scenarios, but there's still that separation. So I don't know what my grandmother had happened to her when she was 15, because obviously she was not with us, and I found it difficult to connect with her at times. Another scenario was when I had my daughter, their dad went for a reading with, believe it or not, Richard Webster. There was a lovely party at one of the sisters' homes. And Richard said to Norman, your next child will be a son, but he will not talk to you. When he gets older, he will not talk to you. And I thought, well, wouldn't be surprised. There'd be that masculine territorial business going on, you know, relationships and everything. And I didn't give it much thought because I'd only just given birth to a daughter, so I left it at that. But it stayed in my mind. And when Norman moved on, when the children's dad left, there was obviously a lot of pain. The children wanted to know why, and if they behaved, would dad come back and all that stuff. But moving on, when my son married, he disconnected from everyone in his life that was part of his life and family. And when I look at his pattern, he's married physically a woman that's like his stepmother, you know, the blonde hair, short. They both have health issues, the same. And their dad stopped speaking with us when he connected with her. So you see, so how much do we learn from our DNA and what comes through and travels through us? And how much do we learn from what we see? It's quite fascinating.
Well, that was going to be my next question, actually, was what actually is intergenerational patterns? So it travels through our DNA, does it, Trish?
I believe it travels through our DNA. I believe we are all in a big soul group, and we are here to assist each other for our soul's benefit and growth. And when I look back, you know, I see people come into my life and I see relationships where we have had in the past, and what we can learn from that. And I see other family members and what they are learning. So it's back to that gift of clairvoyance.
Yes.
So is it really a gift? When you can see so much and no one wants to listen to you? But anyway, that's how it goes. We just rock up, we deliver, and it's up to each individual to choose what they do. Because it is based on their stories. Whatever their story is what they will see from the messages they're delivered.
So when a client comes to you for a one-on-one, Trish, what can they expect? I know every client's different in their uniqueness, but generally, what can they expect to happen between you two and for them?
In general, when a person comes, they obviously have a question or two or however many. There is indecision and pain in their lives. So when you're coming to me, I will tune into you and where you are at right now. So I know that I have the right connections lined up. I like to use a person's birth date to tune in. That's my key. And then we look at the path you've travelled to get to this point in time. So we understand the pain, we understand where we can unlock and heal. And then with that, we can see what a new future holds. When you walk in and sit down, I can tell you what your future holds if you don't make changes. But it's often difficult to make a change if you don't know how you got to the situation you're in the first place. So that's what we do. How does that sound?
So you actually open them to themselves so they can see themselves a lot clearer.
Definitely. That's beautifully put. Thank you. I might use that. If you don't mind.
Oh, not at all. It's just what came to me in the moment as I was listening to you. Yes.
Yeah, we do. You know, the most important relationship you can have is the one with yourself. And every relationship we have outside ourselves is giving us an opportunity to see who we are and how we fit in. And we're gifted with ways to make changes if we choose to.
More and more people are starting to arrive at this now, aren't they? This understanding that anybody that enters our life is actually in some way a reflection. It's an invitation for us to view a part of ourselves.
It is, but a lot of people don't want that information. You know, there's still There's still the blame game. There's still, if only they would do this, I'd be so much happier. Yeah. But
Yes,
you're right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, I call that the blame shame game. So, yeah.
It is. It is.
Yes.
The blame, the shame. And that is the cycle. It just goes round and round and round.
Yes, absolutely. And the power is actually in owning what we're feeling rather than what they're doing. So,
yeah. I used to run talks called The Power of Change is with You. And so if you don't like what you're getting, what are you going to change? Because you're the only one who can. No one else can do it for you, because you have to change the way you're thinking to create a different pathway. Change your thoughts and follow a different path. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So many people wait for change to come to them, so there's something different when they don't realise that they themselves instigate that change. So I hear you, Trish, absolutely.
Yeah.
So just moving slightly now, a lot of people are intrigued as to how a clairvoyant works. How do you see and get your messages? Take us on that inner journey that you go on to be able to communicate with these beautiful ones that come.
Years back, when I concentrated on mediumship, I just waited for the feeling to come in, and then the people arrived and we communicated. But I got tired of mediumship. It's quite harsh on your body, because everyone wants to make sure that you've got the right person. And when loved ones came through, I would be taken on their journey of how they died, which is proof for the person who sits with me. So I decided to switch to clairvoyance, and that would be about 30 years ago. And what I like about that is that it does have a slight safety net to it for me personally. I don't particularly want to channel. So for me, it's being open to a guide coming through. And that guide allows people to come through that I'm happy to communicate with. It's a little bit like having your own private security system. And I actually recommend that to anyone who's delving into this world, to make sure that you do have that. When I was young, I would have visits from people that weren't that pleasant. Not so much to harm me, but I think to teach me that you have to be cautious on all levels. For me, it's the vibration, it's a feeling that comes through. And you can feel a shift in your body. That's how I liken it. And when I get that feeling and that shift, I think, right, we're off. I know now that it's not me talking, it's them. So we're in safe hands. Whatever comes through, it's got to be right. Because they know. Yeah. So it is a feeling. If you were training yourself, look at how you feel when you're in control and being in charge of your life, and look at how you feel when you relax and you allow that new vibration in. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely it does to me. Yeah. How do you know that who you're talking to, who you're communicating with, is actually who they say they are? Because there's a lot of energies out there that come through pretending to be the one that you're trying to connect with. So how do you know, Trish?
Because I trust my security system.
Okay.
They won't let any of the false ones in. And that's another part with the clairvoyance. I did have a lady come to me years ago. And she was wanting to be the victim, and, the family weren't doing what she wanted, and she'd made all these sacrifices, and she wanted certain people to come through and speak to her. And my guides on the other side were quite adamant that these people weren't coming through. And in the end, I likened it to watching a football match where all the fans are behind a huge piece of perspex. So they can see what's happening, but they can't get through. And that's what they showed me. They showed me this lady's whānau that she wanted to speak with behind a huge sheet of perspex. And as I was looking at the image, a gentleman came through slowly. And initially the whānau tried to squash him out so he couldn't get in. They let him through, and the perspex opened so he could step past, and then he communicated with me. And he told me a story that didn't fit with this lady's story. When I relayed it to her, she was not happy, because the other people were feeding her what she wanted to hear. He was feeding her the truth of what she did not want to see.
Mm.
So that is how it works for me.
Thank you. So now you run courses. Well, I know you have done in the past. Are you running any courses at the moment, facilitating any courses right now, Trish?
Right now, no. I'm helping to care for my dad. So
Yes.
I'm working and caring for Dad. He's getting ready to journey to the other side. So right now, no. But after his passing, we will resume transmission and get back into it. The journey I'm having, I've just been away for a week, so my sister could have a break. And at the moment, I'm working as an activities coordinator in the rest home industry, because I wanted to see how relationships were with the elderly and families. And it's been an unbelievable journey of ugliness and beauty, of seeing how some families, siblings, the rivalry is still there, even in this age of the appearance and themselves. And then you also see the opposite of the love, the compassion, and the open-hearted bonding that they all have. An amazing journey. And it's journeying that so many of us are going to be seeing more of and participating in as our generations live longer. And I don't believe the world is ready for it, to be perfectly honest, in what I see. And yet we can learn so much. So for right now, no, I'm still doing my one-on-one consultations, definitely. But I'm looking forward to getting back into running the workshops.
When you are ready to run the workshops, you're going to have so much more to bring to those workshops, with the not just being in the observer's position where you work, but also going through your own personal journey with your father passing. So,
yeah, definitely. There's a richness there. There's that sadness, but there's that richness. And I think sometimes we just have to get over ourselves and accept the gifts that are coming the way they are being packaged, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Sometimes we might not like the packaging.
Often. I hesitated to use the word richness myself before, because I was in honouring of your father and your journey, but it's a beautiful word to use that you will bring to your courses in the near future. So a depth and a richness, and I can feel that as we're speaking.
Well, there is, and I think too, there's a beautiful richness for Dad.
Yes.
For me to be able to have that time with him, just the two of us, for a long period of time, not just, the visits and things like that. And there is just so much richness out there with our elderly. I spend a lot of time with people who have dementia and obviously mental health. So I believe that everyone is a soul journeying on earth and using a physical body for that. And if we can see that and we can honour the soul's journey, it makes life easier. I mean, when they're screaming and yelling at you, want to thump you, you can think, oh, you're not being very nice today. But their soul is trapped in a body that isn't operating the way they want it to. Their soul feels trapped, but we're all journeying, irrespective of what it is. We are journeying, and it would be so lovely and if we could all support each other on that.
We're getting there. Inch by inch, millimetre by millimetre, we're getting there, aren't we?
Sure are. We sure are. You know, before I came on, I pulled a little one of these out. I made up a whole lot of little affirmations and mini scrolls. And I thought, I wonder what I would get for today for us lovely ladies. And what I got, yes, what I got was, are you listening? Shine your light in the shadows and brighten the world.
Beautiful. Isn't that beautiful? Yes.
Yep. So there we go.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Yes. So, Trish, just moving on here, as well as a clairvoyant and if you like, a life coach, you could call yourself, or a relationship expert, you're also a published author. So first book that's already been published is Finding Your Magic. You also have a small book called Meditation for Freedom. And now you're in the process of writing 2 new books right at this time. Is that correct?
I am. Yes, I am. It's a glorious journey. I had much success with Finding Your Magic, to the point that even some of the relationship counsellors were recommending it to different clients who were looking to open spiritually and understand themselves from that different angle. So I've had 2 more printings. I got the message just to leave everything for the moment and not do another reprint. So following the instructions. And the Meditation for Freedom, Finding Your Magic came about because I was running relationship courses back in, I think I started them in 1993, which is a little while ago now. And as time went by, people wanted the written word. And I thought I'll put that as a workshop book. But it just evolved into a book. And the sales have been fantastic. The response has been wonderful. So I know it's hit the right spot. I did have a reprint of some and was able to gift them to people who came my way who were preparing to pass over. And they found the word solidarity comes through as I'm speaking to you. They found solidarity with it. They found peace. The Meditation for Freedom is a little booklet that I created when I first started the meditation workshops, because there are so many different things we can do to heal using meditation. Apart from learning how to breathe properly, we can learn to protect ourselves with the golden light. There's the balloon meditation where you just put all your troubles in the basket and send it out to the universe with love. It can feel so freeing because you've got rid of them. The chair meditation is one of the best meditations for people who want to heal relationships. And that is when you just imagine yourself in a white room with 2 chairs facing each other. And you bring yourself in and you sit in one chair. And then you bring the person in that you're having your issue with, and you sit them in the chair across from you. Now, in that place, it's safe. You can speak to them how you like. You can share with them how you feel. But you always end with thanking them. You thank them for what you've learned, and you send that into the universe with love. With this particular meditation, there is a cord that goes from your belly button to theirs. We call it the golden cord. Sometimes you can just cut it and everything unravels and there's that sense of freedom. Other times the cord is like a thick rope and you need a hacksaw to get through it. Yeah? And you'll have to repeat it many times. There was one particular relationship that was extremely toxic, and it had to be pulled out. This cord just had to be pulled out right back into the roots and destroyed that way. As we were doing this particular meditation, a huge campfire started between the 2 people. and this cord was thrown into a sack that appeared, tied up and thrown into the fire. Unbelievable visions. And the sense of release. It was a very toxic relationship, quite abusive, and the lady at the end of it finally felt free. So that was beautiful.
Yes, yes. And what about the 2 books that are actually being written at the moment? Is there anything you can share with us, titles, or a little bit about what these books are about, just to give the viewers a bit of anticipation of them?
The first one is Relationships, Your Doorway to Success. And the second one is The Layers of Life and Healing. Yeah.
And when do they come out?
Well, at the rate I'm going, probably not for another 12 months.
It's not long.
No. I have been working on them off and on for quite some time. And I got offered the opportunity to work in the rest home industry on my art and craft ticket. And I felt that it was too good an opportunity to miss, because I knew that once I went in there, new doors and opportunities would open.
Yes.
So I've been in the industry over 5 years now, and yeah, it's been very rewarding, very, very emotionally draining at times.
Yes.
But rewarding.
Yes.
I met amazing people and got amazing information.
Fabulous. And so, Trish, do you do your one-on-ones over the internet as well as face-to-face and person?
Yeah, Skype and Facebook, talking to each other. And I haven't used Zoom until today, so I may have to look into that one as well.
Well, lovely lady, it's been a pleasure sharing this time with you and finding out more about you and all the gifts that you bring to this world. And on behalf of Heather and myself, we want to thank you so much for having the courage to stand up, speak out and be seen. Thank you. And just to let the viewers know also that all your contact details will be below this interview when it comes out.
Well, thank you. You took me down memory lane.
Thank you. Love and blessings to you, beautiful lady.
Same to you. Thank you very much, ladies. Bye.